and welcome. Tonight, as the year 2024 winds down, military authorities recommit to war against insurgency, vow to neutralize bandit leader Bello Turji in 2025. Federal High Court Abuja approves the FCC's application to freeze 24 bank accounts domiciled in different banks allegedly linked to terrorism financing. Martin Amewole-led River State House of Assembly frowns at the presentation of the 2025 appropriation bill by Governor Siminalayi Fubara to a three-member assembly loyal to him. And some countries around the world already welcome the new year 2025 with fireworks and light shows.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's stock market ends 2024 with more than 37% year-to-date return, despite closing the last trading day in the red.
On sports, 9-time MPFL champions Eyimba International's winless run in all competitions extend to 10 games with a goalless draw against Bendel Insurance earlier today.
From the nation's capital, the federal government reaffirms commitments to refinancing and ensuring the completion of the Kaduna-Kano Railway project by December 2025. Your days are numbered, and that appears to be the message from the military authorities to notorious bandit leader Bello Turji. Spokesperson of the Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, gave this indication in Abuja today while giving the end-of-year report on the activities of the armed forces of Nigeria. General Buba is also assuring Nigerians that the military remains committed to the fight against insurgency and banditry in the country.
The presentation of the final report on the various military operations for the year 2024 as journalists converge on the conference room of the Defense Headquarters. The briefing focused on the operations across the 6 geopolitical zones, and according to the military, over 1,000 bandit leaders were eliminated within the year.
To refresh our memory, I will read out some of the names of notable terrorist leaders that were taken out since January this year. Persons like Halilu Sububu, Duse Minasara Ida, Malam Saleh Umaru.
There have been reports of some threats on some communities by a bandit leader known as Bello Turji, and the military has a word for him.
During the course of the year, troops eliminated over 1,000 notable terrorist leaders, as well as their replacements. We eliminated also their commanders and combatants, among others. We also assure that similar fates await those parading themselves as terror leaders and commanders today. Persons like Bello Turji, take it from me, is merely a dead man walking, as he will soon follow suit many others that have been eliminated during the course of the year.
The military also have words of assurances for Nigerians on the nation's security situation.
I will say that we will not hesitate to defend the country from terror attacks with overwhelming military force, in order to continue to deliver tangible benefits for all Nigerians to see and witness. To this end, during the year, we neutralized over 10,937 terrorists. We arrested over 12,538 of them, while rescuing over 7,063 rescued hostages.
Beyond eliminating terrorists, the military vows to sustain the fight against oil theft in order to boost the nation's oil production.
But now that I see that,
In a similar vein, the police in Katsina State has been taking stock of activities in the outgoing year 2024. The State Police Commissioner, Mr. Aliyu Musa, while presenting the command's end-of-year report, said that 40 bandits were killed in the course of the year, while 319 kidnapped victims were rescued in the state within the same period.
This is the maiden end-of-year meeting of the Katsina State Police Command. The event is designed to honor outgoing and retiring officers of the command. The ceremony provides the State Police Commissioner an opportunity to review the performance of the command for the outgoing year.
We have rescued over 319 victims from the clutches of kidnappers and bandits, reuniting them with their families and loved ones. We have neutralized 40 bandits, disrupting the operations and making our community safer. We have also recovered 2,081 wrestled animals, returning them to their rightful owners, boosting the local economy. We have also charged 23 major drug dealers to court, disrupting the supplies of illicit substances and promoting a safer, healthier society.
In his remarks, the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Nasiru Muazu, who represented Governor Dikko Rada, called for increased collaboration to sustain the improved security situation in the state.
The Air Commander, I always cry to him. And also, Director DSS, I always yell at him. And other fine security heads, they are always there for us because of the robust synergy created by the governor to work as a team, as brothers, as friends in our struggle to address the menace of insecurity in the state.
In his goodwill message, the commander of the Nigerian Army 17th Brigade, Brigadier General Babatunde Omokpariola, urged the officers not to let their guards down in the new year.
As we end the year on a very high note, I will humbly urge you all to keep the flag flying, to not relent in your efforts, and to strive for greater achievements in the coming year. I have no doubt that with the positive leadership influence that you all currently enjoy, you will have an interesting and remarkable year ahead.
Awards were then presented to Governor Rada in recognition of his commitment to ending insecurity in Katsina State, as well as other officers for their contributions to security in the state.
And still on security, this time from the southeast region, the Yuletide is a time of joy and celebration when a significant number of Igbos travel to their hometowns for these celebrations. However, recent security challenges in that region occasioned by activities of criminals and bandits allegedly hiding under the guise of groups have now influenced travel partners. Well, tonight, our correspondent, Eitope Kutei, brings a special report on how security operatives in Abia, Imo, and Enugu states have geared up to ensure a safe and peaceful festive season.
Insecurity can be a party spoiler, though, as bandits and other criminally minded people have in the past dissuaded people from traveling home. Security operatives, mindful of this disturbing trend, have put in measures they believe will make the criminals have a rethink. In Abia State, the Commissioner of Police CP Danladi Issa is assuring residents that adequate security measures have been put in place, especially at strategic locations to ensure the safety of lives and property during the Yuletide season.
By this mechanism, the rate of crime has reduced considerably, and will not rest on our oars because we want to ensure that we have a very peaceful atmosphere for Abians to celebrate during this festive period.
His position is also corroborated by the Senior Special Advisor on Security to the Abia State Governor, McDonald Uba.
We expect that our citizens who are coming home will be able to sleep with their two eyes closed. I enjoin all security agencies operating within the state to do so while observing international best practices and secure our state as appropriate.
Their efforts appear to have paid off, as attested to by residents of the state.
As a layman that lives in this city and in this state, one of the major thing that we've observed is that the spate of kidnapping has really reduced drastically. Like there's been a lot of reduction, because prior to this time, it is every now and then we're having either a major person or a minor person being kidnapped in the states, but there has been a reduction.
I can beat my chest to say that Aba today is experiencing peace in terms of security. People do their business without bothering. Even in the Ariara market, at least what they were seeing before is no longer the same.
The Joint Security Task Force in Imo State under Operation Odoka, which has been responsible for several clearance operations on criminal elements prior to the Utide, also says it's not relenting in its drive to ensure safety.
We are going to work tirelessly, day and night, to ensure residents, their well-wishers, their friends, and everybody celebrate in peace. We have been conducting clearance operations for the past 1 month, and we are going to continue with this. On this note, I want to commend your efforts thus far, and we are going to continue.
The Commissioner of Police, Danjuma Abuki, is also conducting patrols on major highways and on 24-hour surveillance to prevent any breakdown of law and order.
Whoever that is arrested, extorting money from the motorists, again, harassing the innocent citizen, applying the law will be severely dealt with. From here now, moving around to control the rate of crime. The crime rate has been reduced by His grace, and Owerri Onitsha Road is safe for road users.
In Enugu State, the Utide has been peaceful to a large extent, all thanks to the Nigerian Army, who held a joint session with other security operatives and stakeholders, rolling out measures to prevent crime and assuring residents of a peaceful Utide season. While these measures are commendable, there is need for collaborative efforts from citizens by staying alert, abiding by security guidelines, and furnishing security operatives with helpful information when necessary. Eyitope Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
And still on security, but this time from the angle of the judiciary, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has okayed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC's application to freeze 24 bank accounts domiciled in different banks over allegations bordering on terrorism financing. Justice Nwite granted the application after the EFCC's lawyer, Martha Babatunde, moved an ex parte motion to that effect. He gave the commission the go-ahead to freeze the accounts of 90 days for 90 days pending the conclusion of investigation. The EFCC's counsel had sought an order freezing the bank accounts stated in the schedule, which accounts are owned by Mr. Lawrence Eromosele, who is currently being investigated in a case involving kidnapping pending the conclusion of the investigation. It says the bank accounts in respect to which the reliefs were sought are subject matters of investigation by the EFCC in relation to money laundering and terrorism financing. In part two, after the break, Edo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, faults the suspension of local government chairmen, describes action as extermination of democracy. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. As the year 2024 winds down, military authorities recommit to war against insurgency, vow to neutralize bandit leader Bello Turji in 2025. Federal High Court Abuja approves the FCC's application to freeze 24 bank accounts domiciled in different banks allegedly linked to terrorism financing. Martin Amewele-led River State House of Assembly frowns at the presentation of the 2025 appropriation bill by Governor Siminalayi Fubara to the three-member assembly loyal to him. And some countries around the world already welcomed the year 2025 with fireworks and light shows. And now Now to politics. The Rivers State House of Assembly has found at the presentation of the 2025 appropriation bill by Governor Siminalayi Fubara to the three-member assembly loyal to him. This formed the theme of today's plenary, during which the House's Judicial Committee, led by Deputy Speaker Jumle Mao, presented the Court of Appeal judgment, which affirms the legitimacy of the House as well as the speakership of Martin Amewele. Our correspondent Charles Oporum reports.
It's the last plenary of 2024 at the Rivers State House of Assembly, and the chairman of the House Committee on Judiciary draws the attention of the Speaker to an appeal court judgment which affirms the legitimacy of the Assembly as well as the speakership of Martin Amewele.
It's a certified copy of a judgment of the Court of Appeal Abuja Division, where the government of Rivers State and the governor of Rivers State appealed against judgments of the Federal High Court. And this house was sued as the first respondent. You are almost served as the rightful speaker of this house, as second respondent, as several other respondents. So by your kind permission, I would want to present and lay at the table this document, and I further move that it should be used as a working document before this house, Mr. Speaker. Go ahead.
The Deputy Speaker then criticizes the governor for disobeying the judgment.
Everybody must obey God's judgment, because we are not in another republic where people will live and will not do what our law says. Mr. Speaker, page 76 of this judgment is simply saying that you have a local standing to go to court to question issues of budget. That particular page is very important in this judgment.
Two other lawmakers also expressed their displeasure at the governor's actions, with Honorable Aduki suggesting the judgment be submitted to security agencies for action.
But I want to urge you, Mr. Speaker, you set up a committee or ask the security committee on the chairman of House Committee on security or otherwise to follow up these issues. How is he or she going to follow up these issues? This judgment with the relevant security authorities and put before them.
In his own remarks, the Speaker laments what he describes as the governor's penchant for disregarding the Constitution.
The 10th Assembly of Rivers State, for placing it on record, just to remind the world of a reckless governor, a rascal in government house who has abandoned the Constitution and is acting like a warlord. But we know that the law will have its way at the end of the day.
This latest move comes on the heels of a December 13th appeal court decision which upheld the legitimacy of the Amewele-led assembly and further empowers them to carry out their duties. It's still unclear what the next move will be in what many have described as the political chess game in Rivers State. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
From Rivers State to Edo State, as the crisis there continues in the local government councils, with all chairmen and their deputies suspended by the State House of Assembly, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, is now blaming the state governor, Monday Okweholo, over the development, describing it as an extermination of democracy. The chairman of Edo State PDP Caretaker Committee, Anthony Ezegbemi, maintains that the state government has shown disregard for the rule of law by enforcing the suspension in spite of a mandatory injunction of Justice of Benin High Court 2, restraining the governor and other parties from interfering with local government affairs.
Justice F.A. Kwamba of the Edo State High Court 2, Benin City, issued a mandatory injunction restraining the state government, the governor, and other parties from meddling in local government affairs and operations until the substantive case has been heard and settled. Sadly, in total disregard of the obedience to the prevailing laws and orders of course, the state government has continued in its acts of lawlessness, contemptuous disregard of judicial orders, abuse of processes, and misuse of executive power, which dangerously portends the extermination of constitutional democracy in the state. We have also witnessed another very disturbing trend. The council chairmen are signatories to the accounts in their different councils. That's expected. What Mondokwewo and his cohorts are trying to do is to change the signatories to those accounts, making sure that the elected council chairmen that are supposed to be signatories to those accounts do not have signatories to their account. We want to warn the banks. If any bank obeys that illegal instruction, we will charge you for contempt of court. We will take you to court to make sure that if you illegally change the signatories to those accounts that are with you, we will charge you to court. Don't say we did not warn you.
And from politics, we'll continue with infrastructure as we head over to Abuja studios now, where Gloria Mezoke is standing by to give us more on the news at 10. Hello, Gloria.
Many thanks, Anne. We begin with the federal government reaffirming its commitment to refinancing and ensuring the completion of the Kaduna-Kano Railway project by December 2025. The permanent secretary in the Federal Ministry of Transportation, Mr. Adeleye Ayodeji, made the revelation while inspecting the compressed natural gas bus service at the Eagle Square in Abuja.
These commercial buses using compressed natural gas are boarding passengers to various locations across the country as part of the federal government's transportation scheme for the Yuletide. The service is a collaboration between the federal government and 3 transport unions, including the National Union of Road Transport Workers, the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, and the National Association of Road Transport Owners. The service is being provided at 50% discount amid soaring transportation costs.
Last year, they did the same thing, and now 2 years done it. So possibly, if we are alive next year, we may witness another thing, maybe probably on a grander scale.
The buses are part of compressed natural gas vehicles provided by the federal government to the unions. Additionally, the unions also provided some buses that were converted to CNG by the government. However, the turnout for the service is poor.
There's no much awareness. Like I've been here since 5 o'clock. I'm going to Jigawa. When I came, they told me that there's Jigawa car. But now, I'm the only person now.
Margaret Sunday is one of the passengers heading to Oka, the Anambra State capital. She's paying 17,500 for what would have cost about 50,000 naira.
Mr. President, we beg you, continue with this initiative. It's very good. Bye.
Beyond the free transportation, the federal government has plans to expand the nation's rail transport system.
The president is really laying the track from Kaduna to Kano, from Kano to Maradi, and we hope that by this December, next year, we are sure that Kaduna-Kano will have been completed.
In spite of the federal government's service, travelers surged to the popular Jabi Park, confirming the need for the government to do more to create awareness on the subsidized transport scheme.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says there is no going back on the January 3rd, 2025 deadline issued to allottees who are yet to pay outstanding debt owed to the FCT administration for certificate of occupancy. Mr. Wike stated this during an inspection of projects in the FCT. According to the minister, after the expiration of the deadline, the FCTA will begin a reallocation of those lands to interested parties ready to meet the demands. Our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluwade, reports.
This is the last inspection tour the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory will embark on for the year 2024. His first stop for the day is the Apo district, where an expansion of the access road is ongoing. Next is the site of the permanent structure for the Court of Appeal, FCT Division. The inspection then concludes with his visit to Saburi community, which is over 70% completed.
You recollect that the contractors promised that by December they will hand over these projects. To the glory of God, all round, you've seen that the project has been completed. So the one in Abaji, which is also done by Krebunk, and then the other two done by Setraco and Gilmore. From the report I have, is remaining only one. That's almost 95%. The other ones have been completed. So we believe by the grace of God, after the year that we'll be able to commission this project come this January.
The minister also states that there is no going back on the January 3rd, 2025 deadline issued to allottees who are yet to pay outstanding debt owed to the FCT administration for a certificate of occupancy.
The point is that if they say they have paid and they have attached the receipt to show that they have paid, in such cases, yes, there will be remedy. As to whether there will be another grace, I don't think we will do that. Our interest is not to have the lands back. Our interest is for them to pay, so we can use the fund for the development of the city. Now we are talking about roads. How will you get the roads done without people complying and paying? So we will not. I don't think we will want to give another day of grace. After it expires, we will reallocate all those lands to other people who are interested.
At the expiration of the deadline, the FCTA says it will reallocate the lands. Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, we continue with our review of the year 2024. Tonight, we take a look at the health sector, plus the latest from the world of business. Let's join us again. Welcome back. In continuation of our review of the year 2024, tonight, our attention is on the health sector. Nigeria recorded some notable progress in the sector this year with the rollout of the R21 malaria vaccine and launching of the first pentavalent meningitis vaccine. However, infectious diseases such as mpox and cholera posed a challenge in several states. Our correspondent, Mary Alale Yusuf, reports.
2024 ushered in a huge increase in the prices of medication and pharmaceutical products. And one of the first tasks on the health minister, Professor Ali Pati's plate, was a meeting with pharmacists and pharmaceutical companies where he promised to sign an executive order which would help the situation.
Oh, wow. Has the situation improved? Well, if the reference point is cost of medication, one can say it has not really improved significantly. And the reason for that is not far-fetched. One, the executive order promised had come in terms of what we have on paper. And that executive order detailed certain things that should really bring relief to the industry. For instance, 0% import duty, not only on machineries, not only on raw materials, but even on finished products for a period of time.
From January up until the end of September, there were almost 11,000 suspected cases of cholera in all 36 states in the country and 359 deaths. Lassa fever was an ongoing concern throughout the year, with 191 deaths from over 9,500 cases, most of them from endemic areas like Bauchi, Ondo, Taraba, Ebonyi, and Enugu states. On the bright side, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, donated 846,000 doses of R21 malaria vaccines in the first instance to the federal government as an adjunct to other proven methods of reducing the malaria burden. Also, as part of efforts to mitigate the spread of mpox, which the World Health Organization had declared a public health emergency of international concern, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, donated the first batch of 10,000 mpox Jynneos vaccines to Nigeria. Nigeria also became the first country worldwide to introduce a groundbreaking WHO-approved 5-in-1 meningitis vaccine, Men5CV, with the potential to reduce the case fatality from the current 50%. According to the Minister of Health, more Nigerians enrolled in the National Health Insurance Program over the past 1 year than any single year since the program began.
We have seen more than 10 million Nigerians receive critical services in these primary health care centers over the last 1 year. We've seen increase in essential care. We've also seen increase in skilled birth attendance. We've seen more than 2.4 million Nigerians have now been covered by health insurance, bringing Nigerians health insured to 19.6 million. That's really good progress, but this is just 1 year.
A major achievement in the private sector was the first set of bone marrow transplants performed by the Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria in partnership with the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. The life-transforming operations were on a 7-year-old and a 20-year-old patient.
For me, this encapsulates the essence of how this mother feels. The joy on her face when I see her speaks volumes. And one of the things she also says is her child is 7 years old, by the way, is now putting on weight. And they have to be careful that they don't give her too much. She's doing very well, so to speak.
There were rumbles of discontentment in the health sector. Several warning strikes showed employees were not happy with their take-home pay. At 1.23 trillion naira, Nigeria's health budget in 2024 was less than 5% of the total 27.5 trillion naira national budget. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. We head over now to Dominic Iwewu in Lagos for business news.
Thank you, Gloria. On business news, as 2024 winds down, the federal government and majority of the state governments have put forward their spending plans for 2025. With most budgets having big deficits, experts believe the government will tap the fixed income market with expectations for sukuk issuances in 2025. In a chart earlier on Business Morning, Akbere Oputu, chief dealer at Lotus Bank, said she believes that capital projects will spring up by next year.
We expect that with 2025, we will see borrowing in that space because the sukuk bonds are actually for capital projects. So we have a lot of construction coming into the year, and we know the government actually has the infrastructure bond which they've come up with. But we expect that there will also be a sukuk issuance in 2025. So the non-interest banking space and other investors, it's not just for non-interest bank, even the conventional banks, they actually play in those space. So we expect that in 2025 there will be an issuance. Last auction, which was in 2023, was over 350 billion. So I'm expecting trillions on the sukuk issuance coming into 2025. The federal government bonds are actually trading around 22% levels on the 2031 bond. So if there's going to be a new issuance in sukuk, whatever the tenor is, we expect that the rates will go around 20% levels or higher than that, because the investors we see playing in the sukuk market and in the conventional banking space are actually the same investors, and they actually expect the same level of return.
Despite closing the last trading day of 2024 with a 0.22% decline, Nigeria's stock market, which is one of the key economic indicators, ended the year with an impressive 37.65% growth. The all-share index of the NGX, which serves as a key barometer of equities performance, opened the year at 74,773.77 points and closed slightly below the 103,000 index points, which is achieved on Monday. However, the latest year-end growth is moderately lower than the 45.9% overall gain recorded in December 2023, where it later beat Argentina to become the world's best stock market with return on investment. In February this year, the domestic bourse index reached its highest point in history after climbing to an all-time high of 106 and 87.84 points, and is currently ranked among the top 20 best performing stock markets, a feat which it has achieved since 2017, as investors sought higher real returns from listed equities. And that's the sound of the final closing gong for 2024 at the Nigerian Exchange. The atmosphere on the trading floor is filled with excitement as participants, including regulators, bid farewell to 2024, a year they describe as profitable as they look forward to 2025.
We're closing out on a high note, and we're all very glad about it. But you know, the beauty of it all now is that we have taken charge of our market. SecDG is a broker, a practicing broker, not practicing now, but at least is an operator in the market. Our CEO here, Jude Chemeka, is a renowned stockbroker, an operator in the market. We have commissioners in SEC, now practicing stockbrokers. So if you see, it's like we have our members now taking charge of everywhere. So it's easy for us to analyze government policies, sit with them, discuss, and agree on what should be done.
And still talking about the local boss, Will Ibong has details of its performance for the final trading day of this year.
To the stock market report. Today was the final trading day before the new year, and the NGX closed the final session in the red, sadly, however. But this is no thanks to profit taking in MTN Nigeria. Remember, MTN Nigeria gained about 13 naira yesterday. Well, investors decided to take back that 13 naira, and it ended up closing at 200 naira. And that's it for the year. Let's look at the sectors. Let's see how they contributed today as well. Banking was down 0.34%, consumer goods in the red 0.29%, and oil and gas, however, stood out 0.43%, and this is thanks to gains in Total Energies, bringing that energy to that sector there. But today, I can say that I was at the NGX to witness the closing bell, and even though the last session closed in the red, as you can see, 0.22% down, we're still at 102,000 levels, and the market cap is still at 62 trillion naira. I can say that market players are optimistic, very optimistic that the year closed out, according to them, with record gains. And that's the stock market report. Will Ibong signing out.
And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Dominic. Many countries across the world have already welcomed the year 2025 with spectacular fireworks. Countries like Kiribati, New Zealand, and Australia are among the first set of countries to usher in the new year. But right here in Nigeria, the countdown is on already at various places to usher in the new year. One of the places where Nigerians will be welcoming the new year is a crossover service by the Covenant Nation in Igomu here in Lagos. Let's now take you to the venue where thousands of worshippers are already gathered to usher in the new year.
We are not leaving anyone behind. So long you are under the sound of this place, you will go back home with a gift from God. Are you ready this evening? Can you pray in the language of the Spirit? Because whatsoever the Lord does is permanent. We know you are going back home. And if you are online, watching, hear the voice of the Lord. Make contact tonight that I am receiving a gift from the Holy Ghost tonight in the name of Jesus. Can you lift up your voice in prayer? Rakusa pandele banonda bratela, gizete brabanana no sabaliatana.
Please join us right after the news for a live broadcast of the crossover service by the Covenant Nation. And outside our shores, let's now join Simon Pusey from our London studio with more international news and how some countries are ushering the new year and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. People across the world are beginning to say goodbye to 2024 and ring in 2025. Fireworks lit up the skies over Auckland in New Zealand, the first major city in the world to celebrate the new year. Next up, it was Sydney and most of Australia's east coast. In Times Square in New York, rehearsals have been well underway for the big moment, with new 7-foot-tall numerals replacing the 2024 lights. Chinese state-sponsored hackers have broken into the US Treasury Department's systems earlier this month and were able to access employee workstations and some unclassified documents. That's according to American officials. The US agency said it had been working with the FBI and other agencies to investigate the impact of the hack. China has denied any involvement, calling the accusation baseless and saying it consistently opposes all forms of hacking. The boss of Jeju Airlines says no safety issues were flagged in pre-flight checks before one of its planes crashed at South Korea's Muan International Airport on Sunday. Nothing abnormal was noted with the landing gear, the airline's CEO, Kim Yi-bae, told a news conference in Seoul as investigations continue into why the wheels were not down when it performed an emergency landing. The plane was traveling from Bangkok when it crash-landed at Muan International Airport on Sunday, bursting into flames and killing everyone on board but 2 crew members.
A report by the UN Human Rights Office.
The UN Human Rights Office says Israeli attacks on and around hospitals have pushed Gaza's healthcare system to the brink of total collapse and raised serious concerns about war crimes and crimes against humanity. A new report describes a pattern in which Israeli forces struck besieged and forcibly evacuated hospitals, leading to patients dying or being killed. It acknowledges Israel's allegations that hospitals have been used by Palestinian armed groups, but says the evidence is too vague.
From the destruction of buildings and facilities to the killings of patients, staff and other civilians, raising serious concerns about Israel's compliance with international law.
Syria's new leaders are reported to have given some foreign Islamist fighters senior official posts in the country's armed forces. The army is being reorganized by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Islamist group that is now effectively in charge of the country. It is likely to raise concerns inside and outside of Syria over the role radicalized foreign militants could play in the country's future. Thousands of people have gathered in the heart of Bangladesh's capital to join a march for unity demanding capital punishment for the country's ousted former premier, Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India. The rally, organized by Students Against Discrimination, occurred at Dhaka University, the same group that led the mass movement to overthrow Hasina's 16-year rule. An organizer said at least 5,000 people from across the country attended the rally. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has returned to duty in the Knesset to vote for a government tax bill. Mr. Netanyahu underwent successful prostate removal surgery on Sunday. According to local media, the Prime Minister left Hadassah Ain Kerem Hospital, where he was receiving treatment, against his doctor's advice. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have reached a divorce settlement following an 8-year legal battle. The pair, who married in 2014 and have 6 children, were among the most high-profile couples in the entertainment industry and were dubbed Brangelina by the press. The terms of the divorce agreement have not been made public.
2, 1, 0.
And an Indian-made rocket has blasted off from a site north of Chennai carrying 2 satellites, which will test space docking.
That's a marvelous liftoff.
The 2 spacecraft began testing processes on Tuesday, and the final docking will take place around the 7th of January. India hopes to become only the 4th country with such technology after Russia, the United States, and China.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Well, thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Coach Stanley Aguma earlier this evening began his reign as head coach of Oyinbo International with a goalless draw against Bendel Insurance in match day 19 of the Nigeria Premier Football League played at the Oyinbo International Stadium in Abia State. The result leaves the 9-time MPFL champions winless in their 9 matches across all competitions and 9th on the table with 24 points from 16 league games, while the Benin Arsenal are 15th on the log with 21 points from 19 games. Away from the MPFL, European and Spanish champions Real Madrid held a public practice session to mark the new year earlier today at the Alfredo de Stefano Stadium in Madrid. Thousands of fans packed the stadium to watch the players during the traditional end-of-year events. These regular practice sessions happen behind closed door. Real Madrid ends the year in 2nd place in the La Liga standings, just 1 point behind rival Atletico Madrid. And that's your Sports News tonight. I'm Kelly Egiga. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The military today has recommitted itself to the war against insurgency as it vowed to neutralize notorious bandit leader Bello Turji in 2025. Also today, a federal high court in Abuja has approved EFCC's application to freeze 24 bank accounts domiciled in different banks allegedly linked to terrorism financing. We also told you that the Martin Amewole-led River State House of Assembly has frowned at the presentation of the 2025 appropriation bill by Governor Siminalayi Fubara to the 3-member assembly loyal to him. And some countries around the world have already ushered in the year 2025 with fireworks and light shows. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Well, as we end the last edition of the news at 10 tonight for this year, please join us right after the news for a live broadcast of the Cross River service by the Covenant Nation. And that's for our viewers on the DSTV platform. I wish you a prosperous 2025. Thank you so much for watching and see you next year.